Hey, it's Don McLaughlin. I'm checking in with you on the banks of the Yampa River. Beautiful autumn afternoon here in my hometown of Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And I want to talk about the risks of leading through vulnerability. And, with any risk, right, there's pros and cons. But in my experience as a founder and CEO, there's just so much upside to leading through vulnerability. And what I mean specifically is, in my case, and I've been talking a lot the last few weeks about burnout and how certainly COVID and the pandemic has really accentuated the conditions around burnout and have caused burnout, on a wide scale, right, across global regions, as indicated in this new report by Adobe. For me, when I went through these periods of burnout and even beyond that, severe anxiety and deep depression, and I discovered that my hiding those things was actually hurting not just my leadership but also our business. And when I started to be more vulnerable about what was actually going on for me, I noticed a couple of things start to happen. And, I didn't do this, on my own. I've often had an incredible network of just great friends and peers. And through their encouragement, I started to open up. And in doing so, I noticed these three things. First, that the team started to seemingly just trust me more and really take my leadership and my feedback in a way that I hadn't experienced before. We seem to have a much more personal relationship, and I can only conclude that it was tied into this, my opening up and being more vulnerable about the things that I was struggling with, that they felt it was okay to do so. And that's the second thing I noticed, that they started to become more vulnerable as a team with each other. And this wasn't like overnight, right? But incrementally, I could just notice over weeks and then months how the team seemed to get closer, even in the midst of when challenges happen, which they often do. That they were open about those challenges with each other, and then could lean into more difficult topics that previously they just wouldn't raise, I think, because it was too risky. And then the third thing I noticed was that as I just it became more open with clients and customers about things that I was struggling with, remarkably, they too then would share things that they were struggling with. And that may all be self-evident, but I think for founders, CEOs, for senior leaders, it's hard because we're in these positions where often the perception is we have to have all the answers, but so often we don't, and there are things that we struggle with, and burnout is just one of them, right, where we're feeling disengaged or again, maybe even cynical. And we've lost our passion for the work that we do. And so, again, I just want to invite you to consider how leading through vulnerability with more openness can benefit you in your leadership role, and do so in three ways. One is, like me, to open up about things that you're really struggling with your team. And the second is to encourage your team to do the same. And obviously, doing number one, leading by example, will be the best way to do that. And the third is how to be more open and vulnerable with clients and customers in ways that may feel like a risk, but in my experience and my clients' experience, it invariably leads to a deeper relationship with those clients and customers. And the whole ecosystem of your business, from your team, your position as a leader, your relationship with your clients and customers, I believe will become deeper and much more meaningful, and then your work more rewarding. So again, Don McLaughlin checking in with you, and look forward to doing so real soon.